Okay, so grab your notebooks once. Check this out. So, let's say oh yeah, let's do it this way. So if you click and hold on the text tool, by default it's horizontal type. There's also vertical type. So if you do that, now everything comes out vertically. So again, I got that by clicking and holding on the text tool. And let's bring this in just under text size. Let's have it say transform. There we go. That's better. And let's copy and paste that. Over here for path. Make this a bit bigger. Cool. Now, by default, these aren't going to do anything. We won't be able to sort of like add the same. Let's do this in a different way. So, like I said, we want to turn these into text that that's not going to change based on the font, right? So let's go to the path first. And I'm going to right click and create shapes. And so now, if I look at this, I have each shape individually. And now, for instance, this is like in Illustrator. If you could grab individual points, and edit the text or edit the actual forms. And so now, if I have the content selected, since they're shapes instead of type, all the same stuff is on the table. So I could go wiggle path on the path, and now the actual letters have done that. And so we could dial that in. So let's say less detail, maybe 3, and let's make it rounded, and maybe bigger, maybe 30. Even less detail. So the detail is kind of like per segment. So maybe you just like, what does 1 look like? There we go. Right, so this is getting pretty lava lampy over here. And let's turn the wiggles per second down, maybe to like, 0.3. Right, so the same concept just applied to text, but it only worked for the text because I turned the text into shapes. Exactly. Over here, let's apply the same principle. So on transform, I'm going to take the text, right click, and create shapes. And I get all the same stuff. Transform, contents, add, wiggle transform. And again, nothing happens by default because we've got to turn up something under position. So say 100, 100. And now hit play. The individual letters of transform are all over the place. That looks kind of weird. Let's just do it on the X, so no Y deformation. There we go. I like that. In fact, yeah, this allows us to look at something cooler. So let's make this a little bit more, how about 200 under position? So here you can really see what's happening, kind of, is that what it's doing is that the computer's not able to make random stuff, not random like coin flips in the real world are random, like where we don't know what's going to come up. It's only able to do what you tell it to do. It does preset things. It's deterministic. And so really there's this stored random wave called noise that's generated by an algorithm. And so the computer knows what the algorithm is. We just can't see the pattern, right? Because it's like weird enough. And there's all sorts of different ways to generate this wave. But that's what it's doing. It's just putting this wave into whatever parameter you tell it to go. And under correlation, let's go. Our correlation number here is kind of like how far apart things are on the wave. And so if you sort of mess with that, you'll see that each of the letters sort of comes together a little bit more under the actual correlation of the wave. But you have the same stuff here. So I'm able to take the same principles that we did for just the circles and use it for type here because I converted the type to shapes. And so we get both of these shapes. I'm going to fix this one. This one's driving me crazy. Which one's this? Okay, so this white one, I just don't like what it's doing. So this is the upside of making procedural motion like this, where, again, we haven't set any keyframes, right? We just put this stuff on there and it makes it move. So that's good in that it's easy to generate this type of motion. The downside to this is that in some ways I don't really have control over it, right? Because it's doing the random motion. I just know that I don't like this circle, which is this one. And so under the Wiggle Transform, I'm going to pick a different seed. So the random seed is like the version of the wave that it's on. And the number doesn't really matter if it's high or low. It's just that a different number will give you a different random result. And so it's just like you just keep flipping the coin until you get what you want. And so here, okay, that's better. I like that one. I don't want to do any scale on this one. Let's just say it's 0. And let's have this one wiggle a bit faster. There we go. Let's try another random seed. You see I just get a different path. And so if you don't like the path you get, just dial in a different number. Again, the high or lowness of the number, the value of the number doesn't matter. It's just whether it's a different number generates a different wave. Cool, so try adding those in, right? Text to shape, and then wiggle path, wiggle transform.